Okay, we made it. DC Comics isn't here to stop us. Let's talk about motherfucking Wonder Woman. At the beginning of Superman for All Mankind, Lex Luthor is kind of going through it. In the space of the last year, Luthor has lost the Suicide Squad, his private team of assassins that have served him for decades, eliminating threats behind the scenes. Those people were publicly killed by Superman. Like, on the media. Luthor's dream of creating a legendary team of assassins is over. Superman ended it. And he ended it somehow by guessing that Luthor would go after Zatanna Zatara? How? It doesn't make sense. Superman was never smart before. Someone else is doing the thinking here. They have to be. But who? It can't be Batman, because Luthor has recently gotten involved with this criminal called Bane, who's incredibly connected. And Luthor figured out that Bruce Wayne was Batman after finding out that Dick Grayson was Robin, after Dick Grayson broke into Luthor's headquarters during the Society Toyman, which is the story that immediately precedes Superman for All Mankind. So Batman's being taken care of by Bane. And it can't be Oliver Queen. I mean, yes, Oliver Queen is affiliated with Superman's The Society and is on TV spouting his politics about uniting the world. That guy doesn't kill the Suicide Squad. He gets killed by the Suicide Squad. Ollie was next on Luthor's hit list. Now this thing called the Blue Beetle is using repurposed Wayne and Luthor tech technology and becoming an international celebrity? Luthor had this great plan to use this Indonesian billionaire and turn him into a supervillain called Toyman to destabilize the world's economy. Luthor's goal with the Toyman play of taking the entire island of Hawaii hostage with robots and pinning it on this other billionaire, the goal there wasn't to gain money or power, it was to destroy the idea of money and power and leave only the one person with the most physical holdings in the world. Lex Luthor. He wanted to make himself emperor of planet Earth by using these superhero cultural phenomena to pit two countries against each other in a way that would undermine our capitalist world society, destroy it, and leave Luthor as a kind of warrior king. That was the goal, okay? Instead, he had to settle for kind of taking credit for the society stopping Toyman, knowing that the society won't out him as basically behind it all, because if they do, they'll start a real series of questions about what laws are these people following? Who controls them? What is the governing agency? In the Marvel movies, you have Civil War and you have the government, sort of overseeing superheroes. But as we've seen in real life, if godlike or even extremely charismatic figures emerge, it is extremely hard to stop them. Now imagine if they could fly. The superheroes, as they're now called on the news by the likes of Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen, many of them are functionally demigods. And the society has started literally going all over the world, interfering in ecological disasters, ending droughts. Whenever there's riots or a military coup, the society ends it in 24 hours just by showing up. They don't fight anyone. They just arrive and things settle peacefully. Because if they don't, you're going to be dealing with Superman and his super friends. Luthor hoped the cultural fallout of superheroes would be people fearing and hating them, but it's not going that way. Instead, the society is becoming increasingly popular. Global levels of depression and suicide are sinking. Global levels. People are feeling inspired and taking risks all over the world. Yes, some of these people are becoming supervillains, but others are making incredible innovations in technology or ending age-old cultural feuds. The arrival of superheroes is actually taking human culture in a weirdly positive direction. Luthor can't have that. If humanity is going to a utopia without him, then how will he be the most powerful man in the world? Keep in mind, the idea of working with Superman never even occurs to Luthor. Luthor is Superman. This other guy in the clown suit, this is the Antichrist. Luthor looks at the tools that are available to him to change this situation. His team of superheroes, the Justice League. Now, I've talked about Luthor's Justice League in previous videos, but let me just do a quick rundown. The Wonder Woman, a super soldier who's armed to the teeth, mysterious origins, possibly on some sort of steroid that makes her incredibly strong. Luthor has created his own genetically bred Superwoman. Granted, the Wonder Woman never gives interviews and is almost never seen in public doing anything other than violence. Lois wasn't able to find out anything on where this person came from or who they are. And in fact, they're kind of starting to suspect she was grown in a lab. Then you have this thing called the Flash. The Flash is a robot that moves so fast that when it comes at you, everything around it gets lit on fire. It's crazy because Luthor says he built this Flash robot, but like if he built it, why wouldn't he build another one? And lastly, you have a guy named Manchester Black. Manchester Black is a British guy who does most of the talking for the team. He's a charismatic, likable, cool guy who's psychic. Luthor has experimented on him and given him psychic abilities. Thing is, he never uses them. The only time you see Manchester Black use his psychic abilities is on missions for the Justice League. And when he does that, it's not so much telepathy as it is an overwhelming, suffocating wall of force. Less Luke grabbing a lightsaber, more a tsunami. Luthor, prior to the Society emerging and saving Hawaii, was getting a lot of good press with the Justice League. He basically used them to murder the CIA's most wanted list. And yet, in the era of superheroes, it's strange. He was never prosecuted by NATO or Interpol or anyone. No one could argue that the world was becoming a safer place. Well, actually, lots of people argued that. And online and on discussion shows, basically everywhere, people were like, hey, it's fucked up that Lex Luthor is allowed to do this. Except for those people could then be counter-argued with, well, did you see that the Society saved Hawaii? Look at Superman. The question of whether superheroes were good or bad kind of got put away. The question became less about should superheroes be allowed and became more about how much power should we give to these new gods? Of course, behind the scenes, people like Clark Kent, Oliver Queen, Dick Grayson, Barbara Gordon, people who had been superheroes at one point or were superheroes now, were just watching all of this. As people interpersonally connected to them, people like Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, basically shaped the public narrative and idea about what superheroes could be. A force for all mankind. So where does that leave Lex Luthor? Luthor had an idea. He would contact a man named Edward Nygma. Edward Nygma actually used to work for the Queen family of industries and did some work for Luthor Tech at one point. This was actually the guy who the nefarious corporate raider Dr. Sivana had used to destabilize the whole Queen infrastructure and take everything over. Edward Nygma was a brilliant genius, but an impossibly arrogant narcissist, and also kind of maybe a psychopath. This part of Nygma had blossomed into full bloom when he had become the supervillain, the Riddler, and murdered Sivana and then attacked Queen Industries. But this guy's a genius. Lex knows that. Lex knows this guy's still locked up in Arkham. So now that Bane has Bruce Wayne's secret identity, Luthor uses Bane to get to Edward Nygma and plan an ambush. He wants the Wonder Woman to kill Oliver Queen. Funny detail here, something Lex didn't know, but maybe you do. Over a year prior, Clark Kent had gone to Arkham on Lois Lane's urging, and he and Edward Nygma are the founders of the Society. Of course, no one knows that publicly. Eddie works behind the scenes. He's not physically dominant or strong. Most of what he does is planning. And now Lex Luthor, who the Society all know planned the Toyman incident, is coming to him for information on how to destroy the Society. Riddle me this. Actually, don't riddle me anything. This is gonna be fucking easy. At this point, Clark's been getting it from all angles, and he's been in this emotional state where his confrontations with Luthor have distracted him from his primary mission, which is just to make the world a better place. So when Eddie comes to the team and goes, yo, I can get Lex Luthor to send that thing Wonder Woman literally into a trap, Clark is like, yeah, let's fucking do that. In Clark Kent's mind, the Wonder Woman is a monstrous genetically engineered brute that Luthor uses as a murderer. Because he put her in like this froofy 300 cosplay, it doesn't mean that that's not just some former Marine or mercenary like the Suicide Squad was. It's just another fucking killer. If this is their opportunity to take down Wonder Woman, they have to take it. Eddie and Ted have looked at footage of Wonder Woman and the Flash and Manchester Black. Look, Superman is very strong and those I-beams are very cool, but when you look at the footage of how the Flash moves, they're all just gonna get fucking killed if they go against that thing. When it starts running, it causes an explosion. And while it's running, it basically is an explosion that runs and moves. I-beam? No, absolutely not. Get him in the ocean? That's not gonna happen. Shoot him with an arrow? I don't think so. If they're gonna beat the Justice League, they have to be smart. That means isolating and eliminating Wonder Woman because she seems to be the most dangerous and the longest tenured and most loyal to Luthor. That's when Zatanna Zatara speaks up. To appreciate what comes next, all you really have to know is that Zatanna was basically Luthor's house pet. And by that, I mean literally she was at times kept in a cage for a full decade. That means Zatanna actually knows the truth about where Wonder Woman comes from. Zatanna begins to explain the truth of Wonder Woman. But why would I give you Zatanna Zatara's explanation when I really know the truth of Wonder Woman? Much better character to help me tell you that truth isn't Zatanna. It's a very minor character in the Kryptonian Epic by the name of John Constantine. John Constantine is an alcoholic detective from Los Angeles, California. Now, through a series of hijinks, this dude ended up getting a lot of publicity around investigating supernatural things in LA. You know who was interested in that kind of expertise? Fucking Catholic Church. For a couple of years, John Constantine was the official paranormal investigator for the Vatican. He saw a lot of weird stuff. Nothing he could say was paranormal or supernatural, but just some strange things. By the time John Constantine was 40, he was basically known as sort of the hard-edged answer to Scooby-Doo. This dude was hired by people all over the world. And I'm not talking about like reality shows and celebrities. I'm talking about billionaires investigating things like age-old cults or potentially magical items. Through this lifestyle and these connections wherein he was basically being paid by billionaires to go on vacation to investigate ghosts that always turned out to be nothing, John Constantine ended up in the employ of a young man named Alexander Lex Luthor. Alexander Luthor, Lex to his friends, of which there were many, was obsessed with magic. This young billionaire seemed really into the idea of power. Not just political or economic power, but like raw power. Luthor, as far as John Constantine could tell, was also fascinated with the idea of living forever. It was this living forever thing that first brought Constantine and Luthor into each other's orbits. Because the weirdest thing John Constantine had ever seen was a man named Vandal Savage. Vandal Savage, spelled Vandal Savage, appeared to have been alive forever. And Vandal Savage was not quiet about this. Constantine had crossed paths with this extremely strange and creepy man several times, sometimes up to 5 years apart, and this guy didn't age. Constantine had no proof that Vandal Savage was anything but a fucking lunatic. I mean, Vandal Savage is spelled Vandal Savage. Trying to get this guy's passport or visa isn't happening. Here's the thing, there are reports of Vandal Savage, or at least a Vandal Savage, who looks like the Vandal Savage that John Constantine has seen, going back since the fucking Civil War. The reason John Constantine is even aware of Vandal Savage is because they've crossed paths multiple times investigating the same sort of weird supernatural things. Granted, these things always turn out to be explainable or made up and not actually paranormal as far as John Constantine can tell. It doesn't matter because the paranormal thing is that this fucking guy, Vandal Savage, is there all the time. Also, he's fucking crazy. Vandal Savage appears to have an accent that comes from everywhere and speaks mainly in biblical allusion about 3 lanterns that move towards him over a field of ice. What the fuck? Constantine's experience of this guy, Vandal Savage, is the most supernatural thing he's experienced. In North Africa, on another dead-end hunt for Luther, this acquaintanceship with Wandel Savage finally fucking pays off. He gives John Constantine a kid. No, like literally he gives him a kid. A 15-year-old girl called Z that can apparently do magic. This girl is of no interest to me. This type of magic that she uses, it is of the earth. Whereas the magic I seek is from the stars, from the heavens above, and the fire below. Perhaps, Mr. Constantine, you can give this girl as a gift, a sign of my respect to your friend, Luther. You want me to give Lex this kid? She is of no use to me. Her parents are dead. I ate them. All right, sweetie, why don't you just come along with me away from that nice man? Constantine takes this traumatized kid back to Luther. He never finds out if she's actually magical or not. He just basically brings her there, and then he's like, I'm done. I want out, Lex. This has gotten really, really weird and scary. When John tries to quit, he's visited by a man named Floyd Lawton. John, why do you want to quit the winning team? You're partnered with the richest man in the world, the most powerful man alive. Everything but him is just noise. It's all Luther, right, John? So John Constantine isn't a superhero, and being visited in person by a supervillain who basically says, I'm going to torture and kill you if you quit, John's still with Luther. So now John, like so many of the people you'll come to discover in Luther's inner circle, is essentially trapped there. Luther buys his building in LA, so now Luther owns his home, smears his name in the press, so John can't work for anyone but him. Luther uses John's alcoholism as an excuse for John to never ever get custody of his son, who he lost in a divorce several years earlier and has been trying to get back. Yeah, that's never gonna happen. Not even a bargaining chip. Luther's just like, it's off the table now, you're fucked. Haha, legal system. Luther has John dig into Wandel Savage, and John, with nothing else, throws himself into this 4,000,000%. He finally cracks a piece of Wandel Savage's past that he's always been curious about. You see, Wandel Savage has displayed to John not only immortality, but a seeming ability to detect energy fields. Almost like the guy's like a living metal detector or a radiometer. It seems like he uses this mechanism of detection to find some of the weird events on Earth that he's interested in. Although some of the weird events on Earth don't appear to interest him, like he literally gave up a magical kid. Weird. But John is able to basically track Wandel Savage backwards. This guy has been all over the world. In there, John Constantine uncovers this really interesting log of this incident from 1837. Apparently, a trade ship was crossing the Pacific Ocean when it found a shipwrecked woman who was 7.5 feet tall. The captain of that ship was Wandel Savage. This giant woman was described as having superhuman abilities and tearing through the ship before Wandel Savage shot her with a cannon and blew her overboard. John Constantine waits a full year to run into Wandel Savage again, and he finally does off the west coast of South America in Peru. He dead on just straight asks Savage, like, what's the story with this giant woman from 200 years ago? Is that you? Are you immortal? Savage explains to a bewildered and disbelieving Constantine that that woman he killed in the 1800s is actually just one of a whole culture of superhuman women. Savage had found this place long ago, but because it figures into some weird Judeo-Christian prophecy Savage has in his head, again, the 3 lanterns floating towards him on a field of ice, burning planet, war in heaven, where monsters ate all the angels. Savage says a bunch of shit that just doesn't make sense. So the odds of there being like a secret island of superwomen is like, come on. Still, he gives John Constantine a clue he can follow. What if a place were not the destination, but a journey? Look for what's missing. John has no idea what to do with that. This is not like Sherlock Holmes. We're not dealing with a brilliant investigative mind. John Constantine works for a really smart guy. And when Lex hears that clue, he goes like this. Beep, boop, 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 smart brain, activate, here we go. So Lex, instead of looking for anything in the modern day, follows the routes that Wendell Savage was taking when he was a ship captain in the 1800s. Those same routes were commercial routes, but Wendell Savage only took 3 of them, and he only did it 3 times. Okay, so those routes change over time due to changes in tidal patterns, due to changes in shipping, due to changes from climate change. The thing is, these specific 3 routes from fucking 200 years ago all still exist, and they've all been bent in specific ways. What are they bent around? Usually changing tidal patterns in this one area of the ocean. What else goes on in that area of the ocean, you might ask? Well, meteorological equipment set up there in the 50s has detected fluctuations in the fucking electrostatic in the air. The magnetic fields in this whole fucking giant part of the earth are all over the place. So Luther puts John Constantine into a boat with a bunch of drones and a bunch of scientists and sends them to this part of the ocean. Instead of trying to track what's changing the tides, Luther looks for what isn't there. Luther looks at the areas that aren't having electromagnetic spikes, and holy shit, he finds an island! This island is not huge. It's roughly the size of the coastal Californian island Catalina, but it moves. This is not unheard of, okay? This is not unprecedented. Some islands can move, but this one appears to be moving off magnetic force. You know when you try to put the wrong sides of 2 magnets together and that you feel that invisible push? This thing is being pushed around by that on the surface of the ocean like it's ice skating super slowly. It's nuts. John Constantine can't believe this exists. His whole feeling about working for Luther changes. Floyd Lawton was maybe right. This is huge. This is magic. He found a hidden island. John looks back at his old life in this shitty apartment in Silver Lake in LA, and he's like, what the fuck was I doing? Why did I fight this? I'm on the prow of a ship in fucking crystal clear blue water, approaching a shore of a bunch of natives coming out to meet me. I'm an adventurer. I'm an explorer. John Constantine had never felt more alive and more happy than the moment he first stepped into the white sands of Themyscira. So let's talk about Themyscira. Let's talk about Wonder Woman. This Catalina-sized island, Themyscira, it isn't empty. There is a matriarchal tribal society on the island. They are a lost tribe. These people are barely at the Bronze Age. Their culture is loosely based on Mediterranean myths like the Greek and Roman gods. It's taken on this weird other thing where they also worship the island. These people have been cut off from all human society for upwards of 2,000 years. They spoke exclusively a muddled pidgin version of ancient Greek. So that's like the little National Geographic about their culture, but let me make it clear to you, the thing that is unique about this Amazonian society is that all of the women are 7 foot tall or more. These women are unbelievably strong. I'm talking Superman strong. Their skin is basically bulletproof. It's more like armor. It feels different than human skin, even though it looks roughly the same. They're fast too, like crazy fast. They can like run up a thing and do a backflip off a thing into a thing and then land like wah. Each woman has several husbands, and the men are almost exclusively small and meek. This sexual dimorphism in the Amazons is not a mistake, a coincidence, or even a property of selective breeding. There's this fucking cave at the center of the island. It's a volcanic cave. You can go down into it, and there's a golden pool. And if you're a little kid, specifically a woman under the age of 15, go into the pool, you come out like, Rah! But if you're a man at any age and you go into the pool, your whole body gets covered in tumors, your penis explodes, and you die. Once women perform this ritual and come out enhanced, they are then immediately drafted into this cult-like everyday training. These women are put in training as soldiers for a war with an opponent that they've never seen. Essentially an army of about 3,000 women who are all as strong as Superman and have trained to be warriors since they were 14. Lex Luthor is like, so how about let me in that pond though? Well, actually, Luthor, the thing is if men go into the pod, you get covered with tumors and your dick explodes. Luthor is like, well, your penis explodes? That's why it's a matriarchy. The women rule. They all just spend all day training with weapons, getting ready for this war with Ares that'll never come. Luthor's like, the dick exploding thing, What the fuck? How does that work? At this point, Luther has established a whole secret research laboratory basically hidden away to watch the Amazons. The only one who knows about this research base is an Amazon named Hippolyta. Hippolyta is a matriarch in the Amazon tribe. She's an older woman, she's about 90 years old, she looks 40, she's 7.5 foot tall, and she's ripped as shit. The way Hippolyta finds out about John is because John witnesses Hippolyta murder the mother of another Amazon named Diana. So Hippolyta knows there's this base and doesn't really know what's on it, but she's the one who gives up some of her DNA to John Constantine in return for John Constantine not selling out that she's doing Shakespeare backstab shit in her tribe. Now that they actually have Amazonian DNA, because they couldn't take take it from any of these women without risking an army of superwomen ripping them to shreds, now that they have it given willfully, Luther has it analyzed. A scientist named Kirk Langstrom is sent to the island, and he is over the moon. This is a very sweet guy who's very excited to be in a secret island full of giant superwomen. You have to keep in mind, at this point, Superman had shown up on TV once. The people coming to this island were experiencing it as the most incredible thing they had ever seen. Superhumans! Floating magic island! Your dick explodes! Kirk Langstrom thought that dick exploding thing was really interesting, and that led to him figuring out how the golden pool works. By analyzing Hippolyta's DNA, Langstrom was able to discover something incredible. There wasn't one strand of DNA, but instead tens of thousands of strands layered onto each other. Langstrom had cracked the secret of the magic of the golden pool. It hybridized you with your own DNA. That's right, whatever was in the pool was actually a gene editing technology. The reason the men exploded is because there wasn't enough hard-coded genetic information in their bodies. Once it hybridized their semen, it attempted to hybridize with itself and created a cancerous growth that exploded. But the human female comes pre-packaged full of embryos. These women were essentially being hybridized and gene edited to be the absolute most perfect version of any potential child they ever would have had. You become, in essence, a perfect human being. Incredible, what a breakthrough. We now know why the Amazons are so strong, except for we don't, because it's not magic. What's in that pool? So now you have Kirk Langstrom and John Constantine thinking they're gonna be internationally famous and win Nobel Prizes because holy shit, they figured out how to create genetically perfect humans. Yeah, but who do they work for though? Who do they work for though? Luther, now understanding the technology of the pool, orders them to drill into it. To do this, Luther uses Zatanna Zatara and every bit of money at his disposal to arrive on the island publicly, claiming to be the new son of Zeus. Keep in mind, this culture barely has metal weapons. A dude arriving on a super high-tech yacht with magic shit flying in the air around him, Zatanna doing that behind the scenes, and him in classical Greek, robes, Lex Luthor. John is what the fuck is happening? Lex explains to John that this island will now be useful to him in two ways, and neither of them involve John, so John can just leave. At this point, John's been embedded. I mean, this guy's like Jane Goodall at this point. He loves the Amazons. He's fascinated by them. He wants to protect their culture, and he hates Hippolyta, who backstabs to take over. Lex, you don't know what's going on. There's this whole coup on this island. They're all trying to kill each other. There's this young warrior named Diana who everybody hates, and they're gonna kill her. John has to go to Hippolyta, and keep in mind, Hippolyta knows that Lex is full of shit when he shows up because she knew John was full of shit. He's just another guy hiding a murder she committed. Hippolyta is on her own shit right now. Her daughter Artemis is the second best warrior of all of the Amazons. Hippolyta's only long-term goal is to get Artemis in control of the island. Diana's mother was a threat to that. Diana's father was a threat to that. He was one of the rare men who would speak up, and Diana was always embarrassed of him. He's dead now too. Strange, right? The enemies of Hippolyta on this island just keep getting killed off by the gods, I guess. And Diana just accepts, because the Amazons don't murder each other. Why would anyone ever kill each other? We have to get ready for the war with Ares. Diana is a true believer, so when she lost her mother, she believed that Ares took her and killed her. Ares doesn't fucking exist. He's a made-up Greek god who's being used as a weird tool to manipulate specifically her into a situation where she will be murdered. Diana was going to be the heir to the tribe. Hippolyta is in a unique position here. When John comes on Lex Luthor's behalf asking for a warrior from the Amazon tribe, Hippolyta is like, oh, he's gonna take them and leave? That'll put Artemis in charge. Diana is our best warrior, John Constantine. Now, John knows Diana, who at this point is like 23. Diana embodies all of the traits that the Amazons most treasure: honorable, solemn. So Lex takes Diana and says, you have been drafted into the army of Zeus. There's this giant festival and Diana gets on the boat and leaves. Lex Luthor keeps her isolated for years, being trained by assassins like Floyd Lawton and David Kane. Never shows her the world at large, or only gives her glimpses of it when he sends her on missions to kill criminals and terrorists. He says these people are enemies of Zeus and that the world has become a world of men. Diana hates men because men make things, they make buildings and they make structures. Now, of course, people just do that, but Diana's been cut off from human culture for 2,000 years. So to go from like a beautiful island where everybody kumbayas and trains to kick ass to like Detroit, it's very startling for her. Like, what's happening to the environment? Clearly something's gone wrong with the world. And Luthor does appear to be the most powerful man in the world. That can't just be because he has a bunch of money. You shouldn't value money over everything else. In the Amazon society, they don't even have money. So this guy must be the son of Zeus. You want an image of what Diana becomes? Think of someone two-handing M16 assault rifles with grenade launchers on them like they're fucking 6 guns. Leonidas from 300, Rhea Ripley from the WWE, Lara Croft Tomb Raider, and the Hulk as the same character. That's how Wonder Woman joined the Justice League. He would keep her in chambers of clay, isolated from media, feeding her made-up stories about the world, essentially gaslighting a superhero into becoming your own personal assassin. Keep in mind, Wonder Woman loves fighting and killing. She's literally living her dream. Like they said, there would be this big epic war, and for thousands of years they've trained for it, and she's out here. She's doing the big epic war. What Luthor doesn't know is that bringing Diana onto the Justice League was actually kind of a mistake. Barry Allen, another one of the gods who Diana believes is an automaton created by Luthor, because Luthor said that, so it must be true. Barry Allen is like a complaining, angry prick. He repeatedly says to Diana, hey, none of this is real, but Diana believes he is a trickster god and a robot, so she doesn't listen to that. And Luthor doesn't let them talk unless they're on a mission, and even then he controls the communication. Diana's not stupid. Luthor thinks she's stupid, but she's just ignorant. As the years pass, despite the fact that she was raised in a primitive cult, Diana starts to suss that maybe something is kind of weird about King Alexander Luthor. She can't put her finger on it because Diana doesn't have the experience with people, faculty with language, or emotional intelligence to understand or articulate the idea that I think this guy is maybe lying to me about everything, be making me kill people for him just for selfish reasons. She can't like get to that. She's too deep in the cult. But these little like whispers from Barry Allen and stuff have kind of started to fuck with her. Diana is no longer a brainwashed primitive being used as a super soldier assassin. This is a woman who has started to have serious questions about the nature of her reality. These are questions that she has no one to present because Luthor keeps her totally isolated, but the questions exist inside of her. What the fuck is actually going on here? And when do I get to go back to Themyscira? It's worth saying what was happening back on the island. You see, the moment that Luthor left after that big thing to wish off Diana to go fight in the war, his teams, along with Kirk Langstrom, blocked off the cave. The women of Themyscira could have easily overpowered Luthor's teams, but they trusted them all implicitly because they were on a mission from gods. That meant when they got the big driller and went into the golden pool and it broke and turned off, none of the women were there to stop them. Turned out that beneath the pool, there was some sort of device or a fragment of some kind of device, and the drill had smashed it. All that was left of this device at its heart was a strange green metal that, when exposed to oxygen and sunlight, suddenly became incredibly toxic. The radioactive fallout of it nearly killing John Constantine and Kirk Langstrom. Remnants of this device and this unique, strange, toxic element were transported to the United States, leaving John Constantine on the island alone to wrap things up. Now, this technology and metal, if it's sounding familiar to you, good, because that means you're listening. Get the threads. You got to do them across all the different pitch videos, and then I make it the animated movie. Let's go. John Constantine, after all the stuff that was relevant to Luther has been taken off the island, and the Amazon Society has fallen into a dystopia, basically like Pride Rock when Scar took over, because Artemis is in control, Hippolyta is controlling her, everything's fucked, and the golden pool no longer works. The island has stopped moving. It's only a matter of time till like someone finds it. And then John figures out that Lex has planted a nuke on this fucking island and begins to hunt for it. He will not let this happen. It's worth knowing throughout the story, Superman for All Mankind, we jump back and forth to John Constantine on this island dealing with the Amazons and trying to find a nuke. That's really how we get a lot of the backstory I just told you. And we find all that out because, hey, we're back to the beginning. So of course, when Lex Luthor goes to Edward Nygma's like, okay, so let's figure this out. Immediately figures out that the Flash is not a fucking robot. The Flash is a disgraced scientist named Barry Allen. This guy's living in hiding like Better Call Saul. Manchester Black, he's not some charismatic Russell Brand British guy. Guy is a fucking drug dealer. He's one of Luther's criminals who he was experimenting on. The fact that this is the one guy who it worked on, that doesn't make him good. And then there's Wonder Woman. Eddie figures out that Wonder Woman is being deliberately used by Luthor in a way that stops her from being communicated with. And like I said, Zatanna is able to fill in the blanks. Hey guys, Wonder Woman's not bad. She just has no idea what's going on. Ed Cord has a really interesting observation about the Justice League, especially Wonder Woman and the Flash. We can't beat these people. Not just because they're more powerful than us, but because Luthor's already beat them. We don't need to win. We need to help them win. Clark, Ollie, Lois, the whole gang is like, yes. Eddie tells Luthor that Oliver Queen will be alone and undefended at a publicity event in 1 week. However, Luthor, sussing that something's weird and starting to think maybe Eddie is actually involved with the society somehow, sends Diana to kill Ollie 1 week before Eddie's window. That means she skips their planned trap. The thing is, Eddie, during the conversation, planted that idea in his head. Queen's apartment is also a trap. Now, the society wasn't sure when it was going to happen, but they knew as soon as Eddie told Luthor it was a go for Wonder Woman to strike at Ollie, it was going to happen. Wasn't going to happen on their terms. It was going to happen on Luthor's terms. And that meant they all needed to be in Queen Tower all the time. It's been one long pizza sleepover for 4 days. Wonder Woman arrives thinking she's going to find Oliver Queen in a bathrobe. Instead, she finds the entire society. Now, granted, they are caught by surprise when Wonder Woman literally drops through the ceiling and starts throwing punches. Pete Ross, who literally was just visiting to drop off marijuana edibles for Oliver Queen, is the first to confront Wonder Woman. Before she can just outright kill Pete Ross, Wonder Woman goes toe-to-toe with the Green Arrow. Clark immediately attacks her as well, except for the thing is she's fighting them both at the same time, but Superman has super strength and Green Arrow doesn't. What is this? I thought you were strong! Clark, she's playing with us! Well, bam! Elbows them both in the face. Bam! The ribs. Grabs Clark by the hair and gets one of these going. Bam! 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 Throws him backwards. Ollie jumps up. Ollie's all like jujitsu because he trained fighting jungle animals on an island. He's fucking rolling around Wonder Woman, traps her arm, she just fucking powers out of it and power bombs him through a wall. 3 broken ribs, he can barely breathe, he's crawling away. This is not a Marvel movie. As Diana walks towards him, the Wonder Woman speaks. I do not play with you, I show you honor. I am given certain gifts. I will not use them to score a dishonorable victory over a worthy opponent such as yourself. Ollie, who's in his cracked Shogun armor, trying to get a fucking arrow out of his back and can barely breathe. Well, that's very sweet of you, Wonder Woman. That's very nice. And those are Oliver Queen's last words because Wonder Woman grabs him and throws him out a window. Ted Kord, the Blue Beetle, who still is not in great physical shape, takes a running start with no armor and jumps out a fucking 58-story window to dive after Oliver Queen. So I guess he's dead too. Zatanna stands up because this has all happened like ba 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 ba. Keep in mind, Wonder Woman's never met Zatanna. She just knows magic, so she just fucking pops her in the jaw, just fucking knocks out 2 of her teeth. Over a couch, down. Clark's back up, fucking presses the button to extend the cape. It's the Queen suit. Superman versus Wonder Woman, huh? I'm not gonna lie to you, I've been waiting for this. I'll warn you, I'm a dangerous man, kind of a bad. You are a rogue god. King Luthor has warned me about you. He says you will try to deceive me. Oh, no, I'm not gonna try to deceive you, Diana. I'm gonna fucking beat your ass. What? Wonder Woman's like, fucking Wonder Woman versus Superman. Keep in mind, Superman is now trained with fucking Dick Grayson and Batman, so this is fucking tight. 2 of them are exchanging MMA blows. They're going through grapple. Gets her into a Kimura, she lifts him out of it and drives his head into the ground. He holds on, he bridges it into a triangle. He uses the fact that he can fly to swing her in the triangle like she's being fucking lynched up into the ceiling. Wonder Woman runs across the ceiling, down the fucking wet bar to the floor, takes 2 bottles of alcohol, smashes them on Clark's head and lights his face on fire. Clark's like, whoa! Wonder Woman's just like, bam, 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 bam. It's like, ow, ow, ow. What is this for you, a 6? Is this a 6? Let me show you an 8. Boom! It's Wonder Woman dead on right there, launches her backwards through 3 walls out into the atrium of the building. It's one of those hollow buildings with the indoor-outdoor elevators. So she just plummets and then throws this fucking lasso. It's a normal fucking chain. Fucking throws it, catches Clark's arm as he's looking down at her falling. Pete Ross runs up next to Clark as she's swinging back around like literally 70 feet below them. Clark, was that punch supposed to end it? Yeah. Should we run? She then swings her momentum like a pendulum, swings through the core of the building, and then perfectly arcs around into a drop kick and knocks Clark out the fucking window. Wonder Woman is now confronting Pete Ross alone. Before we fight, what is your power? I don't give up. Wonder Woman's like, Pete Ross throws a punch at Wonder Woman. Nah. In Pete Ross's eyes, he knows Clark's probably okay, but Ollie and Ted just went off the building, so he fucking throws a punch at this woman. Wonder Woman starts ghosting him like Muhammad Ali. And as she's just like ghosting around his moves, Wonder Woman is like legit confused. You are not the warrior. You are just a man. Why do you stand with these tyrant gods? Ah, damn it, stand still. King Luthor said there would be 5 gods I would defeat. He did not mention you, and now I see why. Pete's like, at this point, exhausted from missing punches. And Zatanna rises up from behind the couch. Zatanna goes, whoop, and opens a door out of which pours a massive stream of water. Wonder Woman is blown backwards by the tsunami out of the windows. So there's like hundreds of thousands of gallons of water shooting out of the side of an office building. Diana's like, what? And then past her coming up is the fucking Blue Beetle ship, the Bug, with fucking Green Arrow on the side of it. Boom, like that, shoots a diamond-tipped arrow. It goes through her fucking ankle. Yeah, I said she was bulletproof, not invulnerable. Diana gets caught and now she's hanging by her ankle. Ollie's like, oh, Jesus, look what you did to my building. Clark, that was my mom's apartment. Clark, whose like shoulder is all fucked up, is floating up. He's soaking wet, has a fucking footprint on his face from getting dropkicked. What matters is we got her. And then Wonder Woman again uses a fulcrum. This time instead of a lasso, it's her own impaled ankle and swings herself into the continuous stream of water from the building and swims back up it to jump onto the Bug, punch a hole in the windshield, fucking grab the wheel and drive it into the side of the building. The Bug is now crashing through Queen headquarters. Wonder Woman fucking rips the arrow out of her ankle and just fucking throws it back at Oliver Queen. Hits him in the shoulder. Queen already had his ribs broken. He's out of this fight. Superman is now flying around a giant hovercraft, which is ricocheting and crashing into the interior of a building as Clark just tries to keep everyone safe, Diana has now drawn twin fucking experimental assault rifles and is going blah, 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 blah. Superman and Diana are just brawling their way now through the gift shop. They fall into the aquarium, they go busting out the front of the aquarium, and finally they end up tangled in the massive art installation chandelier of the Queen lobby. People are looking up at them and glass is falling as Zatanna has to go down there and basically try to save people during the superhero fight. While Blue Beetle and Zatanna are focused on saving people, Wonder Woman just fucking repeatedly punches Superman until he is knocked out into the street. Oh fuck. Here we go again. We're out in the street and there is a superhero fight. Clark is stronger than Wonder Woman, but he simply can't keep up. And if someone isn't as strong as you, if they have an expertise in physical combat with decades of experience on you, it's not gonna be pretty. Clark gets his fucking tooth knocked out. He gets his eardrum burst, fucking black eye, and a fucking goose egg bruise on his forehead. Clark is like, haha, I get you in an arm bar, but then you transition that into a wrist like, ow, 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 ow. You know, Clark was hoping this would be like an opportunity to show like Superman's tough, and it's not super duper playing out that way. You have to keep in mind, at this point in his superhero career, Clark has been in a total of 2 fights with people at his level of strength. So Wonder Woman is, I don't want to use the term dunking on him while he screams like a bitch, because he is getting some good hits in there. I mean, like, this guy was trained by Batman. This woman is gonna kill him! In the background of Superman and Wonder Woman smashing each other in the face, there's still this giant stream of ocean water pouring out into the street. Clark finally just tries to use I-beams on Diana, and they don't work. She catches them in her hands and then forces them back into his eyes. Clark is blinded, he has burns on his face, he's like staggering away. Help! Ow! Help! Help! Clark staggers past the stream of water, and Diana gets just an inch too close. Hybridized DNA of Wonder Woman does make her superhuman, but it doesn't make her post-human, which is how I would describe the Aquaman, Arthur Curry. Arthur's arm shoots out of the pouring, rushing waterfall of water, fucking yanks her in, starts shit-rocking her so hard the pavement collapses, they fall into the subway. Clark, who's blinded, has to dive down and stop a subway train from crashing in the background as Aquaman and Wonder Woman are just fucking housing each other. Meanwhile, Pete Ross took the stairwell during the fight from the 52nd floor and has run out into the street where people are running in all directions. Total chaos. Subway just crashed up onto the pavement with his childhood best friend. Hey, Clark! Superman, this looks like it's out of control. Clark goes, oh, it is, Pete, you should go. Pete's like, oh, for fuck's sake. He runs down into the subway. Water from Zatanna's hole to the ocean is flooding the subway. That means all different electrical systems are going off. So you're basically in this long tunnel that kind of feels like the tunnel thematically that Diana got her powers in on the Amazonian island. And it's filled with water that's being lit by sparks and fire so that it looks gold. I'm doing a thematic thing, like she started here, now is she gonna end here? Arthur completely overpowers Wonder Woman. In water, Arthur is the most powerful being in the world. Even though Wonder Woman stabs and shoots him literally dozens of times, Arthur doesn't go down. Eventually manages to get Wonder Woman by the hair and put her face on the third rail, electrified third rail under the water, and electrocute the living shit out of her. It also electrocutes the living shit out of him, so Aquaman literally passes out. Wonder Woman's built of sturdier stuff. She crawls up onto a mostly flooded subway platform to again encounter Superman's childhood friend, Pete Ross. Hey, you have to listen to me. They'll keep fighting you till they're all dead or you're dead. We can't let that happen. That wasn't the plan. You had a plan. And this was an ambush. It was an ambush because we're trying to help you. Things are not what they seem. You are being deceived. Why would I believe you? You're just another man. According to your logic, I'm a man who is standing against a god. Don't you think it's worth listening to what I'm saying? Look around you. Look at the people screaming and running. Does this seem like something a heroic god would do? He's making you act like a villain. Luthor is the most powerful man alive. No, he's not, all right? Clark, my friend is the most powerful man alive. There is no amount of power that should make you compromise what you believe in. They told me about you, and they said that you serve gods. Well, is this what they want? Chaos, people screaming and dying. How many people have you killed? Aren't gods supposed to create something? Diana, has Luther ever helped you create anything? Or has he always asked you to kill and destroy? You know, there's fucking sparks going off, the place is flooded, lights flashing, 90s action movie, full on. What is your name? My name is Pete Ross. I'm 33. I'm not from here. I got very ambitious with talking to you this way. Oh, I am sweating through my shirt, and I'm realizing that maybe this was a mistake. Peter Ross, if you lied to me today, I will kill you myself. So does that mean you're not going to kill me anyway? Wonder Woman leaves. The society barely survived. You can watch the For All Mankind full video for the end of Diana the Wonder Woman's arc in this story, where she joins the society. But that's not actually her final beat in the story. Once Lex is arrested for the blackmail of the Flash, watch the For All Mankind video, Eddie is able to help Diana find a way back to Themyscira. Meanwhile, John Constantine frantically rushes to stop the nuke, but Hippolyta stops him and has him arrested by the Amazon Order. John, covering up that murder to be part of something that was so important to him, has backfired on him at the worst moment. Diana arrives with a Queen exploratory science team back at the coordinates of Themyscira, only to discover that it's a smoking crater. All this stuff with John Constantine trying to stop the nuke, that happened 6 years ago. Everyone Diana knew is dead. Luther killed them all less than 2 months after he stole the only magical element of the island. The gods aren't real. Diana is the last Amazon. She is completely alone. Clark Kent is coming off this crazy experience where he and Bruce Wayne did fear gas to basically purge Bruce Wayne of Batman. They had this crazy ayahuasca trip. That's the whole second half of For All Mankind. Bruce is like in recovery right now. And Clark hears from Pete Ross what happened with Diana. The final scene of Superman For All Mankind is that Diana has gone back to living on this island alone. She was gonna join the society, but now she just lives on this burnt out island. She's been in hiding there for weeks. Lois Lane has been keeping track of this and watches a Jimmy Olsen report on how the Wonder Woman now lives on this island and won't leave. And she stares at the screen as she sits with Clark in bed as he sits watching. Isn't that terrible? There's no one to be there for her. She's the last one. She's completely alone. And Clark stares at the screen. Wonder Woman's been living in this cave that used to be the magical cave, down in the dirt. Basically gone back to living like a primitive. And then she hears a voice one morning from outside. Fucking Pete Ross. What? She hasn't seen this guy since Queen Tower. Peter Ross, you will leave this place. I am the last of my kind. I will be alone. Pete goes, Diana, that's what I want to talk to you about. You might be the last, but you're not alone. Arthur Curry comes up from the ocean. Clark Kent flies down from the sky. And Diana's staring at them. And Clark just puts his hand on her shoulder and hugs her. And Aquaman hugs her too. And Wonder Woman starts to cry. Oh my God, it's almost like an earth elemental, a water elemental, and an air and energy elemental came together. It's almost like they were siblings this whole time and we didn't even notice. Well, we notice now.